Hi, Jane. So good to see you. For
Likewise, I'm happy.
sure. All right. So we've got a couple people joining, which is excellent. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, everyone. I am Amy Regan of Seesaw Art here in Manchester, New Hampshire. And tonight we're so glad to have Jane Cohen with us to discuss her work and practice. Jane is on view in our current exhibition, which is entitled Push Pull, and that's on view until Sunday. So 128 is the last day to come in and see the show. So Jane, who's here with us tonight, was born in 1945 in Winnipeg, Manitoba, excuse me, and has been making art as soon as she could hold a crayon, which I love as a sentence. Jane grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, and received a Bachelor's of Fine Arts from the University of Kansas. The University of Kansas, too, I think. Jane has worked at Hallmark Cards as a writer and illustrator, in Boston as an art director in advertising, and in New Hampshire as a successful freelance designer. And she has always maintained a painting practice. Jane is now a full-time studio artist living in Canterbury, New Hampshire, and she winters in Sarasota, Florida, where she's joining us today. Thank you so much, Jane. Great to see you.
Good to see you too, Amy.
Excellent. So we just have a couple of questions we want to go into tonight. And then also anybody who has any questions they want to share, please pop them in the chat and we'll answer as many as we are able to. So the works that we have on view, there are many different mediums that are on view. So can you tell us a little bit about your choice in medium and sort of what you're hoping to convey with those choices?
I think all of the work that is on view is acrylic, but I think the thing that distinguishes all the pieces, they're on different
That's what
substrates.
I meant.
So,
Yes.
so like the ones that are not in frames are on wood panels, and the ones that are framed, the substrate is probably some kind of paper or cardboard. Uh, I like that kind of rigid feel of rigid to hard cardboard or the wood, or I'll also mount UPO
Yes.
onto wood panels. So it's always a different substrate, but almost always in acrylic or latex paint.
And why do you like to use acrylic or latex?
Well, at first it just became it dries fast.
That makes sense. Yes, right. You don't have to wait weeks to like make the next
And
step.
you do have one that I think you have two that are oil and cold wax,
Yes.
but that's also it it dries differently than just oil paint. So I like uh, more instant results or things that I can build up.
Yes.
So,
Definitely. I love the Yupo and sort of how it's able to sort of hold up to that. And a good example we have is this piece behind me. Is there's a really thick layer here and then also here. So it's not like a regular sort of substrate where it's going to get, sucked in. But I think, and I also think that this is like so brave as well to just sort of let it be and like let that really thick accents stay. And I also love how you've sort of cut them and then you've put them on the wooden panels. As everybody can imagine, as a curator, I think presentation is really important. It's not often the first thing that artists think of, which I totally understand. But I just think that they're so perfect and they're so like accessible on that beautiful wood panel. And they just look so gorgeous
well,
for
they
sure. Yeah.
stand out about an inch from the wall.
Yes.
A collector can opt to put them in some kind of floating frame, but they exhibit really beautifully just as is.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. And I'm always thinking about that. Framing is expensive. Buyers are going to probably reframe a lot of times. So I'm always trying to not make it a requirement at all that it's going to be completely done. I'm totally fine with like magnet in the wall or whatever, just to make sure that we keep the price lower and we get the work out into people's homes as well. So presentation is always a fun thing for me. So, can you tell us a little bit of your artistic background? I know you've been at it for a really long time. And then can you tell us a little about your process? And while you do that, I'm just going to give everybody a little tour of the works that we have on view.
Okay. Well, I did start really young. I did lots of mural painting when I was in high school. I won some prizes doing collages when I was in high school. And then it just continued on that I would go to college, major in art.
Wow.
So my father said, no woman goes to college, and you absolutely did not major in art.
Wow.
Of course, I did that anyway.
Well, you're after my own heart for sure. Right? A little bit of tension there, and to completely prove it wrong. Oh my goodness. I can't imagine.
So after I got my degree in drawing and painting, and I got recruited by
Wow.
Hallmark Cards because the University of Kansas is about an hour and a half from Kansas City, where Hallmark is headquartered.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good experience. And it also was unrealistic because I didn't realize that all artists didn't have profit sharing and
Ah.
help. So once I moved to Boston and reality struck, where artists weren't treated quite the same as they were at Hallmark Cards.
Definitely. Yeah, what a difference.
So, we always have to do something else to support our arts, most of
Yes.
us. And that's why I did freelance designing. Um, my handwriting is still the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen's
No
logo.
way! We have a celebrity in the house.
And
I totally could picture it right now. I love that.
yeah,
Wow.
the grandkids love driving by and telling friends that my grandmother's handwriting.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Wow, so you must have worked with them closely, or was that a commission, or?
When I moved to New Hampshire, I worked with the freelancing for the league.
That's amazing. Wow, it's such a cool story. Excellent. Great. So what you said that you typically like to work in acrylic. So
I really
is there
his latest works, like the one that you had, the purple one above.
yes, this one right here. Yeah.
I've started doing a lot of intersection of
Mm,
like I'll let it layer dry and then go over it with other colors, and I get some really interesting effect by doing that.
definitely see that. And what does your process look like? Can you walk us through like a typical day in the studio?
A typical day. Uh,
Is that even a
no,
question?
I'm in a professional group, and we meet once a week for a Zoom call for 4 hours. And
Wow.
so I almost always have a
Yes.
goal besides getting ready for different
Right.
shows. I also have a commitment to this group so that we have a critique once a week. And that really has been one of those motivational things in the studio. There's a big temptation to always sit in the artist's chair and just contemplate,
Yes.
but it's a totally different thing when you have some motivation kind of pushing you along. I don't have trouble. I don't have trouble going from one project to the other. And I'm doing printmaking, collage, and
Wow.
painting. I'm almost always doing those things simultaneously because, like, the monoprint paper, I'll reuse in collage.
Mm-hmm.
Or, yeah, it's just, they all interface. And so always working on projects.
Yeah, I love that idea of a deadline. A weekly deadline too, which is pretty, and that sounds like a long call. Like that's an entire afternoon where you're devoting your time, you're presenting your work, but then you're also looking at other people's work, which is definitely one of my favorite things too, is in that conversation. And one of my resolutions for 2024 is just to get better at talking about artwork. I feel like I could improve a little bit, which is why I'm selfishly inviting all my artists to come hang with me.
Well,
But
it,
yeah, I love that.
it's stimulating. And one thing leads to the other. And when you're talking to artists and they say something, it might trigger an idea, or you might be able to contribute to their process.
Yes.
If someone's having trouble doing some kind of three-dimensional thing, and how am I going to display it? So it's
Ah,
all beneficial. It's like going to graduate school.
definitely. And I remember chatting with you before. So the group that you are on with, they're from all over
Oh,
the world.
yeah, Australia, Calgary, New Orleans, Atlanta. Yeah, we're all over the place.
I love that. I think that that's so awesome that you can find the time, and art crosses a lot of boundaries and brings a lot of people together, and like that's such a great example of it in real life. I love that idea. I want to like drop in and say hello and just listen.
Well, you should.
Oh,
We'll have
thank
a
you.
guest
That would
appearance.
be so much. I don't even want to say anything. You know what I mean? And it must be fun too because you get that perspective while you're still in process on something. And if the response is that it's going in a direction that you weren't trying to get it to go into, like you can try to figure out how to change it before it gets on the gallery wall, and like the first people who are seeing it are the patrons or the
Yeah,
collectors. So I really love that group effort.
it's totally beneficial. And
For sure, for sure.
it's really one of those things that I think when COVID started and we were even more isolated,
Yes.
and a lot of us just reached out to one another, and this happened, and
Yeah,
it's great.
definitely. It's a little bit of a extra benefit from that terrible time. I know I like to meet with artists instead of visiting their studios. I'll do a video chat like you and I did a couple months ago. It's just so much more efficient on the time. We can hang out together for half an hour and get some work done, and not have to put in, all the driving effort, which is fine. But, we always have to think about our resources as well. And that was such a fun time that we had. So. Of the pieces that we have on view and push pull, which one do you think is not maybe your most favorite, or the one that you think is the most successful, or the one you're most excited about?
Well, the newer pieces are
Yeah.
always my
Yes, I
favorites.
love that. Like the one behind you
Oh yeah,
here, this piece too. Yeah, I love the color in this, definitely. And I really love the oil ones as well in the frames. They're really beautiful. Actually, there's one right behind me too. Just
yeah,
look.
and now that is totally acrylic.
It is. Yeah, I love the color in this. The blue, and I just love the like the big pieces of color that you've let us enjoy, like this big patch of red on the corner there, or the pink that we discussed. I think that that's really, really brave, and it just kind of it shows us just a little part of what you're thinking. So with the pieces that you have on Yupo, are they larger pieces that you cut down? What does that process look
No,
like?
no, I have larger pieces, but I don't cut them down. I made these specifically for this
You
show.
did. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for doing that. It's like never a requirement of mine. It's good to have a deadline sometimes, but I hate being the curator that's like all new just for me. It's like, no, no, no. I don't want to stress anybody out if they don't need it.
Well,
Wow. So these are hot off the presses. I love that so much.
and
Definitely.
and they really have. I'm going in that direction
Yes.
still.
Yeah, for sure. Is it typical of you to work this size, or does size sort of not factor in? Do you like to do large works, small works, or it's kind of based on where it's going to end up?
Uh, I was doing really big work that was 4 feet by 6 feet, and then I we had a change in our home in Florida, and I had to work small, and the studio space just said I needed to do these small pieces, and I really work on large ones and small ones simultaneously.
No, I love that. Definitely. Yeah. So you're kind of thinking about scale in either way, and like whichever idea you have, you can place in a larger work, you can place in a smaller work, and kind of go from there.
Yeah,
So
and you were talking about, the big shapes. I call them paint
I love
events.
that, a paint event, right? And it's like you're gonna leave it like it's eventing, and
Yeah.
that's
And a lot of times there'll be some kind of underpainting and then a paint event on top of it.
for sure, definitely. So you have been an artist for a long time. Can you see, like, were there ever like really large changes between, like, obviously you're younger and you're sort of working it out, but if you look back maybe 20 years or 30 years, is like, has your style changed so much that you feel like you're a completely different painter, or is there some sort of, obviously there's a line that drives it through, but some artists have an event and they completely change, or they sort of stay in that one
I think
line.
there's been an evolution. And I feel like, early on, I might spend more time. I look at older pieces and I realize, I spent a lot of time on that piece. I still like it, but it didn't evolve as quickly as some of the work that I do now.
Yeah, really interesting for sure. You can kind of know earlier what direction it's going to and whether or not you want to put all the time into it
Well,
to create it.
and I think also as you mature and your work matures, you have a level of confidence. And even though my work it very spontaneous, there's also control and some intelligence behind the marks.
Definitely, for sure. Yeah, you kind of have an idea of the mark that you want to make, but then you also have all of the tools to be able to make that happen,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. So it seems like there's a lot of layering going on in the work. Is it like maybe 80% your mark and 20% chance? Can you kind of like, or is it 80% chance and 20% your mark, or does it
I
just
think
change all the time?
my work is, there's a lot of chance. There's a lot of, I like to say
Yeah.
spon.
Yes, spontaneity for
But
sure.
I also have referred to my work as being evolving absent-mindedly.
Yes.
That I'll be working on a piece and be putting color on another piece, and oh, look what I just did. So that there's a lot of that.
I always think it's really smart when artists have like a couple different things that they're working on. And I run into this too. Like, let's say I've worked all day and like my brain is fried, and like I come back to it in the morning and I'm fresh and it's so much easier to do. And I kind of like, I am constantly learning that like I do need to take a break and like calm down. I can't just like work all the way, and you're just like, I can't take a nap, or if I, go to bed, come back earlier in the morning. It is a completely different experience. And I sort of love that passage of time a little bit. And I can see that happening as well when you have a great day, work on a couple different things, go home, relax, come back, and then kind of dive into it. Do you
Oh,
agree with that?
absolutely. And one of the rabbit holes you can go down is you're working on a piece and you take pictures of it. I
Yeah.
always do progressive pictures, and then your gut is no longer in control and your mind is taking over and just pushing you in the wrong direction. So like one of the early photographs, like when I come back into the studio the next day and you go, oh, why did I do that? But
Or how
yeah,
can I bring a kernel of that back, or kind of thing, you kind of remember it. I love the idea of really photographing it and remembering that process. I think that's really cool.
yeah, it's important. And also lots of times when you're working in color and you take a picture and you make it into a black and white, and you can sort of see, the value and what maybe would be better.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I love that idea of turning it into black and white and seeing the piece but in a different way. And I feel like that's kind of the same idea as like coming back to it with fresh eyes. But yeah, I love that exploration. Is there sort of a rubric for typically how long you'll work on a piece, or you just let the piece respond to you and it varies every single time?
It totally varies.
That, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
There have been things that are being contemplated on the painting wall, and they
Mhm.
might be there for a week or two.
Really?
But not that I'm working on them, I'm just looking at them.
Yeah, and living with them.
And then it speaks to me and I finish it. But yeah, it's different
Yeah.
times.
Yes, for sure. One of my favorite questions to ask artists is like, are these works completed? They're on view. Are they done? And a lot of people will say like, nope, definitely not at all. Like these works are still in process, and I'm going on them. But do you feel that what's on view is all set and ready to go on to the next show, or will you take them back and rework them after thinking about it a little bit?
Oh no, when they're done,
They're done.
they're done.
They're done. That's great. I can see that, right? Like they're completely finished. They're absolutely gorgeous. And so my heart breaks a little bit sometimes. It's like, no, it's done. Like we already, we have already exhibited the work. Oh my goodness. I'm a little bit of an art historian. That's being a curator too. Is little history historian or keeping it like that.
You have finished work on the
Yay!
wall there.
I'm glad to hear that for sure. And we are so glad to have it, Jane. It's been really fun working with you. Let's see. Could you give some advice to some younger artists who are just getting started? Any words of wisdom?
Well, I think one of the things is just to do it every day, to go in, and it doesn't matter, you know, don't think you're going to make Mona Lisa. Just go in and do something. And I think it's just making it a habit. It's like
I was going to
exercise.
say,
You've got,
sounds like exercise, right? Like you're not forcing yourself. Hopefully it's joyful, but some days it's tough to get yourself to get into the studio for sure.
yeah. And I really am a person that likes to listen to music while I do it.
Um,
I my companion is Spotify.
oh, I love that. What do you like to listen to while you create?
Oh, many different
Oliver.
genres. Actually, my daughter is a Pilates instructor, and she makes great tapes. And so I follow her on Spotify.
Oh, that's so cool. I bet they're probably
Yes,
energetic.
there.
That's excellent. That's really, really great. Yeah, I really identify with music too. I have it going all the time while I'm working. And it really pumps you up for sure. Especially, I can picture the Pilates with your daughter. Excellent. So, what's coming up next for you? You have some shows coming up. Are you working on anything specific? Are you heads down on critique work?
Well, down here in Florida, in Sarasota, there's a big artist community, and we have open studios like once a month where a lot of people go through and look at work. And so I'm in a gallery here, and I'm getting ready to submit to a printmaking show. And I'm in a show right now at the uh, in Dover at the Art Center.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, the art center is such a great spot.
There's an international printmaking show there right now.
Excellent. That's
So uh, there just stuff keeps coming.
yeah, stuff's going on. I love that. What can you say, like where I'm in New Hampshire, I've been in New Hampshire my whole life. What are the main differences between New Hampshire and Florida as far as the artistic community?
You know, um, I think every art community is unique. And I thought that this would be uh, a bigger population of collectors. But I think now in New Hampshire, because of people like you, Amy, that are bringing a breath of fresh air to modern interpretations of the visual arts. I mean, it's not all covered bridges anymore.
True.
I think there are younger collectors in New England. Down here
Oh,
in
yeah.
Florida, an older population that maybe collected earlier, and they're no longer putting the money into collecting. So it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I would totally think the opposite, right? I would think that down there is where are their older collectors and they've been, they know their collection and they're continually adding new pieces. But I also think for maybe the younger crowd too, they really appreciate the uniqueness in owning a piece of work that is one of one, that is unique, that's created by an artist. So yeah, I
I
can see that.
think that's what's happening because the population is growing so much in Florida, and now younger people are starting to live down here. It's not just geriatrics anymore. And I think that population comes through open studios
Mhm.
and are starting collecting.
Excellent. Oh, we got a question from Tracy, and Tracy's also in Push Pull. So, hi, Tracy. Great. Thank you for joining. She says, are the price points higher in Florida?
No.
Really? I assume they're higher everywhere else, but it's still that sort of approachable sort of price. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny because one of my studio mates is really well known in Maine
Yeah.
and gets really good prices up there. And no, it's a little lower down here.
Really?
Mm,
Yeah, because I mean, you've got that main crowd, right? Which is like probably stubbornly Maine and loves that imagery that probably they're making, where it's a little bit different, for the Florida crowd.
yeah,
That's interesting. Do you find that the different locations inform your work?
somewhat,
Conscious.
but also I think I get on a little tangent all by myself. And I'm not a person that does landscapes but I think that hiking and looking at nature does impact my work. And so down here, I've been really moved by looking at bamboo and the design and the big bamboo stems and stuff. Uh, and I feel like it translates into printmaking. So I think nature everywhere you are has some kind of impact on you.
Yeah, it's subconsciously sort of coming through, and it's what you're viewing when you're walking around and relaxing and taking that break and taking it all in for sure. I think it's called nature washing when you go for a nice walk. That's excellent. How can we keep in touch with you? Is Instagram the best? Is your mailing list, your website? So
Yeah,
we can follow.
my website is being done right now. Uh, Instagram is best, Jane Cohen Studio, or emailing me.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Jane. Thanks for taking the grilling on the questions and for being in the exhibition. I'm so honored to be able to work with you. Anyone can visit seesaw.gallery to view this exhibition online. Everything's available to view online. And then you can also visit seesaw.gallery/visit to view our open hours and to book an appointment if you want to come in and see the work. We have open hours. We also have more appointments available. I live 10 minutes away. My favorite thing to do is to come down and share the exhibitions with everybody. And yes, this show is on view until January 28th, which is this Sunday. So we've got one last week to enjoy it. And I just want to say again, Jane, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's great to be able to chat from afar, learn
Okay,
more about your work. Definitely. All right. Thanks so much to all of our joiners, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
bye.
Bye.